I might have caused the sleeping earth to swell and bloom, in velvet green the hills to clothe, to put out kissing buds and flowers fair. But had not that power could make her love. For me, the hare surrendered to the hound, the fish for shame divorced the clinging sea. But I, who offered riches to her choice, lacked means to see that choice alight on me. I bade the lyric find its melody, the deaf and wordless poet learn to rhyme, the painter's art to leap upon the page, but could not take her heart, nor make it mine. I caused the jealous sun to share its flame, and coolness taught the rash and leerful moon. I gave the firstborn his ancestral name, wiped winter's nose, brought summer into June. I walked with her beneath the bashful star-eyed minted new, with heaven's keenest fire, by living waters freshly squeezed from stone, but had no means to make me her desire. I could not make her love me, had no need. The time of love she gave me freely. Good afternoon, anyone who's joining me today. It's Thursday, 4 o'clock just gone. I leapt into that first poem without leaving any time for people to join, so I know you will come in halfway through, but I'll repeat that poem at the very end. It's called The Cause, and could be about many things. About that feeling that we could do anything for the one that we love, that feeling that we would do anything to keep their love, or somehow hone or shape or make their love. But very much also it's about seeing, accepting, hearing the love that is there without you doing anything. Hello, yes, I'm Matthew Jones. I'm reading today from Sabrina Bridge, published by Pear, which came out in 2018. Only 2 years old and a bit. And as I did with my second book, The Knotsman, I've been just reading through it, reading the poems one by one, as they are in the book, and hoping that you'll enjoy. I'm going to continue doing that today for as long as we'll see how far we get, and I'm going to do some more in the next poetry show. And I've also hoping to include a special guest, a couple of poems by a friend of mine. They don't know I'm going to read them. It'll be a bit of a surprise, even a shock, but I'm going to add those in anyway. So hello, whoever's joined me. Hello, darling. Unless somebody types in a message to me, I have no idea who's watching or how many people are watching. So thank you. Hope to see you. Hope to see you. We've not yet met. Anyway. So here's a poem. Again, it's a love poem. That feeling with many faces. It's inspired by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, in which I've played Theseus and Oberon a few times. But this one's about Puck. It pinches a lot of Shakespeare's words, but jammed up in a different order. and might be thought a kind of sequel to that play, in which you may remember, two pairs of lovers are jumbled up with the use of a magic potion daubed on their eyes. Everything comes right in the end. Except this sequel, which you may have heard before, called Puck in Love, with mustard seed. They kiss, of course, just tongues or lips, not both. Keep something back. She sponges dewdrops on his nose and leads him, spirit, up and down a flaunty dance, a ringlet from the brush and briar of her hair. He hangs a pearl within her cowslip ear, and lurking in the bowl cries raucous words and jelly winks, adorning her with curds. Morning finds them crept into acorn cups, on the ground, sleeping sound and holding hips. They take the night as blanket, play Athenians in the wood, and scratchy scratchy on the green. O'er they fall till once again Aurora comes. Cobweb blows a raspberry and shows her bum. Perhaps it was the watching of her scratch the ass, the ear the queen of fairies catch, that did bestir a monster to be moved, or else beware. Or was it idle love, still smeared on mitts unwashed, and wiping tears of laughter from his eyes? Did her endear, and stain the knavish lob with purple wound? But tired heart or fired tongue he swooned. Alas, no almanac is found can tell us aught of the mechanics of it all. Though certain 'tis, a moon did shine that night. A dream without a bottom holds the sprite. The Athenians did it, with rough cast and mirth, and now is placed a girdle round the earth. Poor Puck, can you imagine the trickster in love? What a to-do that would be. There's a couple of others in the book derived from Shakespeare. It's both from Macbeth. Quite a different feel to them, and I don't know if we'll get to those today, but certainly one of these readings. Oh, I wonder, I don't know if I think this one maybe it would work. This little poem is kind of a visual one, in that there's a secret message hidden inside it, which I know Suz found. Hello, Suz, darling. Jar, my love. Oh, how wonderful to see you, hear you. Funny, I can't see you, but hello. So, there's a couple of little clues placed in a line so that you hint at looking out for a secret message. It may not come across, but I'll try. It's only short. Called Love Note. We do not always notice what gifts may lay before us. The words of love been spoken by the friend I stood at our side, and meaning, care made so plain in the words of for love we've spoken. I so often felt you unnoticed in the storm of shouted hurts and tears cried. I've no idea if that works or not to be heard. The poem about how we don't notice what people are saying to us, what care they're actually showing to us, and in the heart of it, just the four simple words, I care for you. Then he wrote. Oh, the next one. This one's very folkloric and very folk-songy, and I wrote it when I had a tune, a folk song called The Barley and the Rye in my head. And having completed writing it, when I tried to speak it aloud, it felt very clumsy in its scansion. So I always feel now was compelled to sing it. So if you forgive me, I'll offer you now the Magic Pig. Mistress Marjorie was a lonely wife, though she kept her lodgings full. Sweet bacon back, sure thank you, ma'am, for the feeding of us all. The Inca man and the candle man, the cog man and the fool. Sweet bacon back, so thank you, ma'am, for the feeding of us all. Every Saturday with her porker she would walk out on the moor and return with a bag of bacon back for to feed her lodgers for. And her husband dear, the gallows man, gazed in silence from the wall. Sweet bacon back, sure thank you, ma'am, for the feeding of us all. 'Twas the cinder man who spied on her walking Saturday on the moor. Said, I've seen you with your porker lying naked on the floor. Would you have me write to your gallows man? Would you have me stories tell? Sweet bacon back, I'll be thanking thee for the feeding me as well. Oh, this bacon back, it is salty, this bacon back, it is dry. Will you tell us, gentle mistress, why the weeping of your eye? The Inca man and the candle man, the cog man and the fool. Sweet bacon back, won't you tell us, ma'am, the meaning of it all? So on Saturday with her porker she walked sadly on the moor, and the cinder man, keen to follow her, was surprised by lodgers four, and the townspeople saw him running with a face of ash and ill. Sweet bacon back, no thank you, ma'am, I have surely had my fill. Mistress Marjorie was a thankful wife when she walked next on the moor, and her porker ran beside her, smiling up at her from the floor, and she thanked her kindly husband for the piglet prodigal. Sweet bacon back will be thanking thee for the feeding of us all. For the feeding of us all. The Magic Pig. A very mysterious tale, its deeper meanings that I cannot ascertain. Hello there, Suz. You might have guessed this was going to happen, because in this book, Sabrina Bridge, is a poem called Suzerain, which I wrote from a very dear friend, Suz Winstbeer, who is the Gothic heart of Worcester and has been for quite a while. She really is a most remarkable woman, most amazing, and this is written in tribute to her, called Suzerain. She has grown feather-boned. From such as she, they harvest corset stays, swan's neck slender, whalebone strong, with the lost simplicity of lace. as rich as lace in her history, intricacy, possessing now the delicacy of cloud in a blue sky, and sunshine fragility upon a whited shoulder, a fine weave of skin, lightly dusted with lines. What hangs between the spider arms of the parasol should not be taken in. Strong enough still to thrust stitches through leather, with crow's razor bill and claw, to strangle with a corset cord, preening raven feather and brocade. Her eyes are a veil to hide her face. Her teeth have a tender bite, delicate in taste. Always a pleasure to read that one for Suz, my friend. Now, if you were watching yesterday, you'll know that Suz was my special guest, and I read a poem of hers online, quite to her surprise, and thankfully she didn't mind. Today I want to read a poem by another friend, someone who wrote a gorgeously kind blurb for the book Sabrina Bridge, and that's Cathy G, and this is her book. Where am I? So that's clear. The Book of Bones. And I will probably read two if she doesn't phone me up or suddenly say stop. But this is one of them, which is called Backpack. When I leave, I'll take a map with elsewhere on the folded edge. I'll fill my veins with hedgerow gin, my mind with friendly voices, hands with cake and green tomatoes stolen from my lover's garden. Keys I'll never use again will jangle through the warmth of sleeping terriers, release the locks that make me stay. Don't start to worry. Vultures don't yet soar like vengeance over burning wagons. This is only planning. If I leave, I'll wear my rucksack to the front to stop me looking back. Backpack by Cathy G. Published by V Press. There we are, let me see. And if I have time, I'll do one more of those before I finish. That was a touch Gothic in itself, and we continue from Suzerain, the Backpack, to this one, which was the first time I wrote a narrative poem, and there was something about the simplicity of writing it. It didn't hurt to write. Sometimes, especially as a beginning poet and a naive poet, you're thinking, oh my word, I really need to drag into my angst to get this, but this was fairly pain-free. I hope it's enjoyable. Called The Heathen Girl. She did not seem a wild girl. A wild girl she did not seem, though she was armed with knives and eyes that rose from out my deepest dream. She carried too a sark of shame, a sark of shame she had beneath the modest dress and cloak demure she wore to walk upon the heath. A father's strict and stern belief she sought escape from on the heath. At her request I followed on. I followed her some steps behind, her basket held upon my arm, desire held within my mind, desire full that I might with my arms her slender form ensheath, might lay her down and make her mine for just 2 hours on the heath. Or like a Jack in Green bequeath some seed of love upon the heath. Upon a mossy bank we stayed upon a bank of moss, and there, beneath the sun's kind rays, she sang me of her love and loss. Her love and loss and keen despair she showed. I sheltered in her grief, and waited for the storm to pass to offer comfort on the heath, to lay her on the ground beneath and show her comfort on the heath. I rested then upon her breast. Upon her breast I soundly slept, her shaken legs around me wrapped, and on my cheek the tears she wept. Then down my cheek the salt tears ran, slipped lightly over lips and teeth, played on my tongue a salty tang, for to revive me on the heath, or more like as a murdering thief to poison me upon the heath. She opened up her basket then she opened wide, and with the blade which lay within, she cut my heart from out my side. She cut my heart and laid it bare, whilst with my curls she made a wreath, and set them in a basket there to carry me across the heath. A bed of young hearts underneath my own, her cargo on the heath. Dum, 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 dum. Just a touch of the Gothic there. Hello everyone who's watching. As I say, I can't tell who's here unless you type up a message, but thank you for letting me know. Something deeply Gothic now. Suz has written many poems and much prose about vampires, and this is also in that vein. It takes place in a crypt where bodies have been laid out prior to burial, and in the midst of that silence comes this, the Revenant. The air here is too still to hold anything but the dead. I am the only agitation. And the room is too cold to house anything fed. This I know without hesitation. Everything here was foretold in the passages read. This mere confirmation. The sense of absence is real amongst these greying weights. In stillness, I remain a disturbance. Whatever life they were willing to feel, whatever selfless fates they kept, they've lost them to silence. While I wait to uncongeal my blood, my body discoagulates, prepares to end this awful abstinence. Sight is unnecessary, sound also, only scent adheres and taste upon the breath. Something beyond stands as a promissory. Felt in gelid veins it nears this pitted chamber of death, a calm missionary, ready to spill into our ears prayers to the Lamb of Nazareth. Transition is near complete, the ritual close to done, no action required other than to drink, to taste meat, to let the blood run through a heart long expired, and this sodden corpse reheat. Another disentombed sun, another first breath, respired. This moment of lying still, aware, not yet alive, will be my last repose, knowing that from this I must kill, devour, if I would thrive, and never more dispose myself to sainted sleep, until the final days arrive, and the blessed dead have all arose. Something vampiric this way comes. Yes, this section of the book is all very Gothic. Very dark folklore, because it continues with this poem, The Wail of the Banshee. There is a cold, hard voice blowing at the doors. This is why I burn my heart so fierce. A cold, hard cry sweeping round the eaves. For this I keep my head so high. A bone-dry scratch against the window pane, and so I set my passion to the match. A cold and empty roar cries harsh against the wall, and this is why I slip the latch, slip my dress, and dance naked on the moor. So that memento mori is probably a reminder to stay alive, be alive, while you have a chance to. I'll read the second one from Cathy G, from her Book of Bones. And this is the title poem, The Book of Bones. Your flesh has gone, left only bone, anonymous as X-rays. Notches in the pelvis tell of sex, without the curves of fatty comfort you had moulded over time. You could be, plus or minus, dated by disintegrating carbon. DNA shows ancestry, and tooth enamel proves that you were Yorkshire, faking southern ways. We find no trace of intellect. Ideas cannot linger in the bone. The Book of Bones, Cathy G, published by V Press. And thank you, Cathy, for the wonderful blurb you wrote for Sabrina Bridge. So, how many more to do? This one. Yes, I think I'm going to do two more and then repeat that very first one. I mentioned earlier in talking about Puck in Love, how that was inspired by Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. Both of these next two, both in sonnet form, are inspired by Macbeth. And the first takes, again, many of the words Shakespeare used in the play, jams them up, comes up with something else. In the play, of course, Macbeth, who is a thane, meets three witches who come to tell him that soon he will be king. I don't know if Shakespeare would have known this or not. I think he might have done. That long, long before Christianity took hold in here. A folk belief or a religious belief would have been that it is the goddess who chooses who will be king of the land. Sometimes she's known as sovereignty, or she might be known by the name of the land, but she is the one who chooses who she wishes to be king. So of course, when three witches come speaking on behalf of the goddess, she is perhaps proclaiming that he will be king, and it's only in a Christian context does it become anything sinister. But of course, in a Christian context, perhaps they do not know that. Perhaps they feel that they have to do something to make it so. So this is the poem, Macbeth, in brackets Hecate's summons, because it's Hecate who represents the goddess in the play. Was not the heathen... Start again. Was not the raven hoarse that croaked? Did not three midnight hags their choppy fingers take from skinny lips to speak? Was all so wrought, and freely too, this for a kingdom's sake? And what might be done? What more? When time and place shall make themselves. The dagger warns, proceed no further. Hold, enough. The petty pace cries not, thus thou must do this nameless deed. Has not the old man so much blood in him, and will not blood have blood? O wayward son, fallen down upon a step, his stars so dimmed, Prince Cumberland, enkindled to a crown. Or who can say what murdering sleep will bring? Wait but one night, and night may make you king. But he didn't wait. If he had known that the goddess had chosen him, then he would have known that the goddess would make it happen. Instead, he felt he had to make it happen himself. And he murdered the old man, Duncan, guest in his house. And maybe he would have died anyway. And as a consequence, his second poem, after a brief and bloody kingship, full of slaughter, in which he kills the family of Macduff, a young mother, in which his own wife commits suicide, never a mother. He comes up against, finally, Macduff, torn from his mother's womb in Suzerain birth. On the way to that final battle, I imagine he meets this spirit like a Banshee, but this is the Nighe, often seen as a washerwoman washing bloody clothes at the ford. So this is Macbeth going to his final battle. What woman that knelt beside the flood, hands plunged deep into red water? What cloth does she beat upon the stones? What cold strands, bloody strings of clotted threads from old swaddling? Is the queen, then, so piteously bent, unsucked, heavy dug? Oh, she would have been mother to so many. No, Lord, the queen is dead. Macbeth, then, has she the look of his beloved, scrubbing up her children from the floor? She never came to court, I would not know her, I would not... Please, my lord, who do you see? A woman, never known, stands now to show her torn tatters of a womb, her belly ripped, memory of a babe she never knew, gripped. The third mother in that play, hardly mentioned until the very end, of course, is Macduff's mother, dying in childbirth, never knowing her son. So I have one more to read, and then I'll read the first one, which I jumped into straight on in the beginning. Those two also come out of a Celtic strand of mythology and folklore, and so does this one. A poem about the salmon of wisdom. Many animals within Celtic lore were deemed to have great wisdom, and the salmon is one, where you might go to his pool and consult, if you were lucky, and gain some wisdom. The Celtic word for it, an Irish word for it, I think, is Bradán or Bradán. And that's the name of this poem. No, I have only so many years left to me, and never another today, while you still have forever. Like the salmon in the water. Always there's a salmon in the water. You would think it was immortal, though some fisherman will catch this one hereafter. From his place within the sheltered pool, seeing glints of you and shadows on the pebbling below, he might deem you eternal man. Always a man on the shore, each staring eye upon the endless stream, perhaps forgetting the source and the sea. And so, to finish, I jumped in at the beginning straight away into this poem, not allowing it, so anybody who caught it would have come in halfway. So I think it's only right and fair to give it you again. And as I said at the beginning, the feeling that has so many faces, a sense of love that we feel, that makes us feel omnipotent, that makes us feel impotent, that makes us wish we could do anything, makes us acknowledge that we have done anything. But then in the end, it may be just a case of taking what's there and knowing how rich you already are. The cause. I might have caused the sleeping earth to swell and bloom in velvet green, the hills to clothe, to put out kissing buds and flowers fair, but had not that power could make her love. For me, the hare surrendered to the hound, the fish for shame divorced the clinging sea, But I, who offered riches to her choice, lacked means to see that choice alight on me. But I bade the lyric find its melody. The deaf and wordless poet learn to rhyme. The painter's art to leap upon the page, but could not take her heart, nor make it mine. I caused the jealous sun to share its flame, and coolness taught the rash and leerful moon. I gave the firstborn his ancestral name, wiped winter's nose, brought summer into June. I walked with her beneath the bashful star I'd minted new, with heaven's keenest fire, by living waters freshly squeezed from stone, but had no means to make me her desire. I could not make her love me, had no need. The time of love she gave me free. The cause. And that's today's reading. All from Sabrina Bridge, as they are in the book. There's a bunch more to read. I guess it would take another couple, 2 or 3 readings even, to read through the whole thing. Today was every other day. So I had the day off yesterday and I did a day of reading the day before, so I'm thinking every other day I might attempt to do a reading. So Thursday today, Friday, Saturday for the next, and around this time I hope. So if you're around, I hope you will join me. Don't worry if you can't, of course. And the video of this will be posted onto the timeline shortly after, if you fancy a look. And I'll also type up the set list, so you know what I've read. So Cat, Suz, Jar, if you're still around, I'll speak to you soon, I hope. Much love to you. Keep well, keep safe. It's only a few more months. Much love.